The psychology of hair, the invisible signal of human status hook. The disturbing truth is that you are carrying a primitive broadcasting antenna on your head, and you don't even realize it. Most people think their hair is just a matter of aesthetics, fashion, or simple genetics. They treat it as dead tissue to be cut, styled, or colored according to the latest modern trends. But few people realize that your hair is actually one of the most powerful, involuntary psychological signals in human biology. For thousands of years across every ancient civilization, hair was never just an ornament. It was an uncheatable receipt of your internal health, your social status, your fertility, and your raw evolutionary power. Every time you walk into a room, before you ever open your mouth to speak, your hair has already delivered a complete, silent psychological dossier to everyone watching. It tells the human subconscious mind exactly how stressed you are, how well you manage your internal resources, and where you stand on the tribal ladder. When an individual begins to lose their hair, or when it prematurely weakens, the true panic isn't about losing looks. It is the terrifying, ego-shattering realization that their biological status signal is fading. Carl Jung understood this deep archetypal terror. He knew that certain physical features hold a massive weight in our collective subconscious. If you remain blind to the evolutionary language of hair, you are missing a massive piece of the human social puzzle. In this video, we will uncover the hidden psychological truths behind your hair, deploying the insights of evolutionary biology, ancient Stoicism, and Jungian psychology to decode the ultimate signal of human status. The Hidden Signaling Laws 1. The Uncheatable Biological Receipt. Imagine looking at a lion without its mane, or a peacock without its vibrant feathers. In the wild, these features serve no practical purpose for survival. In fact, they take a massive amount of metabolic energy to grow and maintain. Most people misunderstand this as a simple decorative trick of nature. The hidden psychological truth is known in evolutionary biology as the handicap principle. Because hair requires an immense amount of internal nutrients, low stress hormones, and peak biological health to grow thick and vibrant, it is impossible to fake. It is a biological tax that only the strongest organisms can afford to pay. When your body enters a state of chronic modern stress, survival mode kicks in. Your nervous system prioritizes your vital organs and instantly starves your hair follicles of blood and nutrients. Therefore, thick, vibrant hair is a loud subconscious signal to the modern tribe that your inner citadel is peaceful, well-resourced, and operating under low anxiety. It is the ultimate visual proof of internal order. 2. The ancestral crown of sovereignty. Throughout ancient history, cutting another man's hair was never a simple grooming choice. It was the ultimate act of psychological castration and forced submission. Most modern people assume that ancient warriors grew their hair long simply because they lacked barbers. The historical and psychological reality is far more profound. From the ancient Spartans and Native American scouts to the biblical narrative of Samson, long, well-kept hair was the definitive symbol of a free, unbroken man. When the Roman Empire conquered a new tribe, the very first thing they did to the prisoners was shave their heads. This act was designed to completely break the captive's individual ego and absorb them into the faceless uniform collective. Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics frequently observed how empires use uniformity to strip men of their sovereign nature. Your hair is your personal crown. When you neglect it or allow modern toxic lifestyles to ruin it, you are quietly letting the modern matrix strip away your ancestral vitality. 3. The Jungian shadow of graying and loss. There is an unspoken, paralyzing dread that hits the modern individual the moment they spot their first gray hair or notice their hairline beginning to recede in the mirror. Most people dismiss this anxiety as superficial vanity, telling themselves they are just being self-absorbed. But Carl Jung's theory of the archetypes reveals a much deeper psychological fracture. Your hair is tightly bound to the archetype of the youth or the warrior. The sudden structural change or loss of your hair forces your ego into a violent, direct confrontation with your shadow, the terrifying realization of mortality, aging, and the loss of youthful dominance. Because modern culture worships eternal youth and hyper-superficial aesthetics, hair loss is experienced as an involuntary demotion in social status. The manipulator of your self-esteem isn't the mirror. It is an insecure culture that has trained you to believe your inner value evaporates the moment your biological signaling changes. 4. The modern attention weapon. In our hyper-visual digital era, hair has been weaponized by the attention economy on an unprecedented scale. Look at social media algorithms. Hair has become one of the primary vectors for subversion and status signaling. Most people mistake the current obsession with perfect hair routines for simple self-care. The dark truth is that in a world where everyone is starved for validation, hair is used as an asymmetric psychological weapon to establish dominance and trigger intense envy, resentment in others. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote extensively about how the herd uses superficial metrics to judge the higher man. When someone flaunts an immaculate, highly expensive hair aesthetic online, their subconscious motivation is rarely about hygiene. It is about projecting an illusion of absolute control, wealth, and genetic superiority over the viewer. If you do not develop the emotional intelligence to see through this digital theater, your self-worth will be stolen from you by a screen every single day. The psychology behind the anxiety. To completely free yourself from the psychological traps surrounding hair, you must understand the primitive wiring of your own mind. The human brain is a status calculating machine that hasn't evolved since the Stone Age. When you perceive a threat to your hair, your deep subconscious processes it exactly like an ancient warrior losing his weapon or his tribal shield. Your ego panics because it equates a change in your hair with a drop in your sexual selection value and social leverage. But true Stoic mastery requires you to realize that your hair is ultimately an indifferent, an external variable that is subject to the laws of nature, decay, and time. Your biological signaling might be an asset, but your character, your focus, and your unshakable mind are your true source of uncheatable power. How to reclaim your power. If you want to build an unshakable shield against status anxiety and master your personal presentation, deploy these 4 powerful actions. First, treat hair care as internal discipline. Stop relying purely on superficial chemicals. Thick signaling starts with absolute nutrition, deep sleep, and ruthless stress management. Protect your biology. Second, master your presentation with authority. Whether you possess a full mane or choose to completely shave your head like a Roman gladiator, rock your look with absolute non-negotiable confidence. A bald head carried with high posture signals massive testosterone and dominant stoic frame. Third, refuse to play the comparison game. Turn off the digital noise of curated influencers. Their aesthetic is designed to manufacture your insecurity to sell you a product. Starve them of your attention. Fourth, anchor your identity in your mission. Your hair does not build your business, your wealth, or your legacy. Let your real-world execution be so loud that people completely forget to look at your head. Powerful ending. You now possess a rare, highly perceptive understanding of human social dynamics. While the rest of the world looks at hair as a simple cosmetic detail, you see it for what it truly is. An ancient biological matrix of status, power, and psychological warfare. Never let an external, temporary, physical feature dictate the boundaries of your self-worth. You are the sole ruler of your inner citadel, and your true power cannot be brushed away, cut, or lost to time. As you step forward into the world, let the fierce self-reliance of Friedrich Nietzsche and the supreme mental fortress of Marcus Aurelius guide your spirit. Stand tall, guard your mind against modern manipulation, and let the unshakable power of your character be your ultimate ancestral crown.